will turn this one on after I sing. You know how to do that? Yeah, right.
That's the idea.
Right. You don't want to subject people to
The mic up?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's good. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glory is to Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 29, talks between Narada and King Prachini Barhi. Today's text number 52. Narada Uvacha Prashna Evang Hisanchinno Bhavata Purusharshabha Atrame Varato Guhyam Nishamaya Sunishchitam Narada Uvacha Prashna Evang Hisanchinno Bhavata Purusharshabha Atrame vadato guhyam nishaha maya sunishchitam Narada uvacha Prashna evam hi sanchinno Bhavata purusharshabha Atrame vadato guhyam Nishamaya sunishchitam. Yeah?
Narduvacha evam hi sanchino bhavata purusharshava
Nishamaya sunishchitam. Anyone else? Word for word. Go ahead. No, you started. You finish. Narada uvacha Prashna evam hi sanchinno Bhavata purusharshabha Atrame vadato guhyam Nishamaya sunishchitam. Word for word, Narada uvacha. Narada said, Prashna, question, evam, thus, he, certainly, sanchinnaha, answered, bhavataha, your, Purusha Rishipa, O great personality, atra, here, me vadataha, as I am speaking, guhyam, confidential, nishamaya, here, sunishchitam, perfectly ascertained. Translation, the great Saint Narada continued, O great personality. This is funny, huh? Because Parishat's the one that needs preaching to, but Narada's telling him to, rise up. You're a king. Come on, be great. The great Saint Narada continued, O great personality, I have replied properly about all that you have asked me. Now, hear another narration that is expected by saintly persons, is accepted. Now hear another narration that is accepted by saintly persons and is very confidential. Please repeat, the great Saint Narada continued. Oh, great personality. I have replied properly about all that you have asked me
all that you have asked.
Now hear another narration
Now hear another narration
that is accepted by saintly persons
that is accepted by saintly persons
and is very confidential.
and is very accomplished.
Srila Prabhupada's purport, Sri Narada Muni is personally acting as the spiritual master of King Barhishman. Prachini Barhi, Barhishad, Barhishman, there's many names the king is known by here. It was Narada Muni's intention that through his instructions, the king would immediately give up all engagement in fruitive activity and take to devotional service. However, although the king understood everything, he was still not prepared to give up his engagements. As the following verses will show, the king was contemplating sending for his sons who were away from home, executing austerities and penances. After their return, he would entrust his kingdom to them and then leave home. This is the position of most people. They accept a bona fide spiritual master and listen to him, but when the spiritual master indicates that they should leave home and fully engage in devotional service, they hesitate. The duty of the spiritual master is to instruct the disciple as long as he does not come to the understanding that this material world, material way of life, fruitive activity, is not at all beneficial. Actually, one should take to devotional service from the beginning of life. As Prahlad Maharaj advised, Komara Achari Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatam Bhagavatam 761, according to all the instructions of the Vedas, and that means we should take, as Prabhupada said, we should take up Krishna consciousness, Bhagavad Dharma, from the beginning of life. According to all the instructions of the Vedas, we can understand that unless one takes to Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is simply wasting his time, engaging in the fruitive activities of material existence. Narada Muni therefore decided to relate another allegory to the king, so that he might be induced to give up family life within material existence. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timanandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, starting this verse starts another section of this very long chapter. It goes, 80 some verses. And so starting with today's verse, Narada Muni will present yet another allegory, another story, to try to persuade King Barhishman, to give up all fruitive desires and activities and take to pure devotional service. Now, why is he telling yet another story, another allegory? Why? Prabhupada told in the purport. Anybody say?
Right, he doesn't want to wait. Immediately.
Yeah, because he sees, and he sees from Barhishat's, he sees Barhishat still hasn't gotten it. Although he's got it theoretically, as Prabhupada says, although he understood, theoretically, intellectually what he was saying. Yeah, Barhishat's not doing it. Yeah, because he sees that even after now, consider this, starting with chapter 20, we're in chapter 29 now, starting with chapter 25, he started this Paranjan story, this extended metaphor, this allegory. And now we're on chapter 29. And even after telling the whole Paranjan pastime, and then because, because Paranjan was the king, that was the way that Narada did it. He was, and he told her that bluntly later. And then Puranjan, died thinking of his wife, Puranjani. So he had to come back as a woman. And what was the woman's name in the next life? Anybody? Vaidarbhi, right? And she married a king because Puranjan had done pious activities, so she was born as royalty. But still, she had to come back. And then even after telling this extension of the Puranjan pastime, the next life, then he still didn't get it. He still, And so then Narada, he unpacked all the symbols in the allegory. This means this, and this means that, and Puranjani is you. Because if you don't, you're going to have to come back too if you're too attached to your fruitive ways. And so, but still, and so even after doing that, and then, coming as the super soul came as that was another character in the extension of the allegory of Vigyata, super soul. I am your unknown friend. You've been ignoring me all these lifetimes, and I'm within you, without you. So even after hearing all this, so Barhishad is not prepared to give it up, but he wanted to, and give up, not just give up. You can't just give up something. You got to embrace something. So Narada's been very clear. Look, you've got to, if you want to be successful in life, and stop dallying with these fruitive activities, which just gives you temporary results, and then it gets smashed again, and then you got to lament again. You got to embrace pure devotional service, and that's who the jiva is. You are the jiva. We're all jivas. So in his purport, Prabhupada writes that the king's new plan was that to bring his sons home, even after hearing this, was to bring his sons home from doing penances and austerities, and then entrust his kingdom to them, then leave home. He was kind of like stalling. Then leave home. But Narada, knowing how long King Barhishad had been dallying in fruitive desires, activities, wanted him to leave the kingdom right away. Right now, get out. And depend solely on Krishna. But the king wasn't doing that. Because it's one thing to understand something theoretically, but then to actually take it to heart and do it, that takes realization. And sometimes it takes, the difference between theoretical and practical is just a sense of urgency. And that's actually all of our situation. I'm thinking, well, not me, I should be understanding this at the ripe old age of 78, I should know this. But any of us could pass away anytime. So Narada Muni knows King Barhishad's material desires have prevented him from deeply embracing Krishna consciousness. So he wants to finally blast away King Barhishad's superficial spirituality. Yeah, he was pious, but it doesn't go far enough. It's the kind of piety that's, it's playing games to go to heaven, getting brownie points with God to go to heaven. It's not really about love. It's just like a business deal. So out of his compassion, Narada Muni, he says today, now he's not given up, because he sees that Barhishad's got a lot of potential to go back to Godhead. He just wants to get this final blast out. Now hear from me another narration that is accepted by saintly persons and is very confidential. Yeah. So confidential. it's very confident, just like Krishna. There's a whole chapter in the Gita, the most confidential knowledge, and Arjuna was qualified to hear that chapter because what did Krishna say in the very first verse? Anybody know 9:1? Yeah, you're not envious. But as long as I'm hanging on to material desires and trying to just hustle some scene for myself, then there's that envy. Is that even if I'm pious, but it's still not, I'm not really trusting. Confidentiality only comes when there's, intimacy only comes when there's complete trust. So, Narada he's got one more allegory, and the whole story only lasts one verse. He says, I'm going to tell you. It only lasts the next verse. It's a real, and then he spends a few verses more after that unpacking it. But the whole story is, you'll see when Jiro gives tomorrow what the whole pastime is. Now, interestingly enough, as I was preparing this class, I got a WhatsApp message from our dear Krishna Kumari. You know her, used to live here. And she passed on to me this was uncanny. Krishna must have known that, this would be a good thing to share for this point. How to finally blast through superficial spirituality. And it's a story that a lady who lives in Mayapur. See, Krishna Kumari, if you go to Mayapur, she lives in this Kunti Bhavan, or these middle-aged and elderly ladies who don't have husbands, and they're living there, in a very protected way, sheltered way. Kunti Bhavan, interestingly, right? It's like Kunti had shelter of her sons. So this is a lady who, she's from Kazakhstan. She's living in Mayapur. You did? Oh, wow. Wow.
I was actually looking for it. I like to say it.
Okay. It's a near-death experience.
Yeah, I shared this before.
Okay. I don't.
Like a year after.
I've never heard it. I guess I was out or something. Yeah. So anyway, I got it on my WhatsApp. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll share it with you. Okay, I'm not going to share everything for time considerations. I'm just going to share most of it. Okay, so she got really sick, and she went to the Mayapur hospital, but she wasn't doing well. I was taken first to our Mayapur hospital. Her name is Ananda Vrindavani, disciple of Shiva Ramaswamy. I was taken first to our Mayapur hospital, and then transferred to a clinic in Ranaghat. Yeah, Ranaghat, still in Navdvip Mandal area. Later, I learned that the lack of potassium and magnesium that she was having can lead to paralysis of all muscles and organs in a person. I found myself in a state where all systems in my body were shutting down. My heart couldn't pump blood. The digestive system stopped. Toxins entered my blood, and my lungs struggled to breathe. I was gasping for breath, writhing in pain, and unable to think as the toxins affected my brain. I was in complete panic. Now, this happened in 2020, and she's been a devotee for 23 years when this happened. And she's a teacher in Mayapur. She was then, I'm not sure about now. I was in a complete panic, realizing that this might be the end. Dimly, through a thick haze, I remembered that I needed to call for someone. Guess who, right? Say something. But due to my brain not functioning, I couldn't recall whom to call. Those were dreadful hours, oscillating, wavering between unbearable pain and losing consciousness. By that time, I had been practicing Krishna consciousness for 23 years. Many times, I had taught to my students about the importance of remembering Krishna at the time of death. We discussed how to die properly, and I was confident that when my time came, I would simply focus my mind on Krishna. Simply, right? Simply. No problem. However, it turned out to be not as easy as I thought! Exclamation point. Unfortunately, throughout my life, now here's a good reason she's giving of why she wasn't able to spontaneously think. I hadn't put in the effort to chant the holy name attentively, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is the reservoir of all the other offenses, right? Often I chanted while multitasking. Uh-oh. I think we've all done that and regretted it. Feeling too busy with preaching and various services. Miraculously, due to my service, she was thinking that even though she was doing this, miraculously, due to my service, I would develop a taste for the holy name. Just, doing other things while you're chanting. In the name of service, right? But the main service is Ananda Vrindavani. This is a lady who's living in Mayapur, and she's relating a near-death experience. And she's going in and out of consciousness. And so here's what happens. But it didn't happen that way. One spiritual teacher once said that many devotees make a mistake of thinking that just by serving in ISKCON, neglecting japa, they will eventually attain pure devotional service, just sort of magically, I was one of those devotees. And in the moment of death, I realized that my inattentive chanting had let me down, right? We might think that we can intellectually remember Krishna since we sometimes do it during our lifetime, sometimes. However, as my experience showed me, during death, our intellect shuts down and only our mind remains. We can't forcibly think of something. Rather, our mind takes us to what was most dear to us during our life. You can't fake it. Whatever I've really made my shelter, that's where I go to. Just like what was his name? The fellow that was killed in Minneapolis, George Floyd. What was his last, who was he calling for? Anybody remember? His mother. That's exactly what she did. So after 23 years of spiritual practice, at the moment of death, I panicked and my mind was filled with thoughts of my mother, not Krishna. I recalled how she provided comfort during my childhood illnesses. And in those moments, when I regained consciousness, I simply called out for my mom. That's what George Floyd, Mama, he was saying, is that cop was squeezing the life out of him. Completely forgetting about the Lord. Somewhere deep in my consciousness, I knew I needed to call someone else. But due to the overwhelming pain, I couldn't remember who to call or what to say. At that moment, the doctors informed me that I was on the verge of death and could pass away at any moment. The news was relayed to devotees in Kazakhstan, where a Sunday program was taking place. Fearing for my life, the compassionate devotees started a 3-hour kirtan. This is probably in Almaty or Astana, one of those two towns in Kazakhstan. 3-hour kirtan, praying to Krishna to help me. Through their prayers, Krishna showered his mercy upon me. The holy name is not confined by material space, and their kirtan in Kazakhstan reached me in the hospital in Ranagat in this way. So here's how the holy name reached her. It's pretty far out. Once again, I regained consciousness and let out a cry or a moan due to the intense pain. At that moment, an Indian nurse leaned over me and sternly said, "Why are you crying? Just keep chanting Hare Krishna." As I later found out after recovering, this nurse was a Muslim, and she even refused to accept books by Srila Prabhupada from me when I was discharged from the hospital. When I asked her why she advised me to chant Hare Krishna in the intensive care unit, she simply shrugged and said, "I don't know." Somehow, hearing the words Hare Krishna from her lips brought immense relief. I finally remembered what to chant at the time of death. Gathering all my strength, I attempted to chant Hare Krishna, but unfortunately, all my muscles, including those for speech, were completely paralyzed, and I could only murmur incomprehensibly. I couldn't properly chant Hare Krishna. This threw me into despair, and tears streamed from my eyes as I writhed on the bed, surrounded by tubes and hoses. Then I heard the voice of a doctor addressing the nurse, asking who I was. She replied, "She is from ISKCON." And then, miraculously, the doctor sat down next to me and started singing, "Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute." And then he began chanting Hare Krishna. So that's how that Hare Krishna reached her from Kazakhstan through. Because Krishna is in everybody's heart. So he inspired this whole arrangement here. Thus, the kirtan of devotees in Kazakhstan manifested itself for me through him in the hospital in Ranaghat, feeling immense gratitude toward this person, as well as profound remorse for my foolish life and offensive chanting. Listen to this. I left my body. This is where the near-death experience starts. She actually felt that she was out of her body. I left my body. I was fearful because I realized I had failed the test completely. I thought to myself, what a fool I have been to treat the holy name so superficially throughout my life. I scolded myself, and at that moment, I suddenly saw my deities, whom I had been worshiping for 23 years, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. Baladev and Subhadra were in the distance, and I could only vaguely see their silhouettes. But Lord Jagannath stood very close and was vividly visible. Suddenly, I saw that all the deities of Lord Jagannath were actually one Lord manifested in multiple forms. Then I saw him in a human-like form. It was Lord Jagannath, but at the same time, he was Krishna himself. He had arms and legs, a beautiful figure, and a straight posture. His skin was as blue as the flax flower, and his face was very attractive, with huge eyes and a mysterious, soft smile. He didn't say anything, but suddenly he showed me, listen to this, my entire life from the moment I joined ISKCON and began practicing Krishna consciousness. So people say my whole life passed before me sometimes, they have a near-death experience. And but this is customized by Krishna. So he showed her how she'd been practicing Krishna consciousness for 23 years, right? My whole life passed before my eyes like a movie reel, and I saw that during the entire movie, while I played various roles, Lord Jagannath stood by my side, invisible to my material eyes. And he was right by her. Now, all these, listen to this, all these experiences she went through. At that moment, I was in shock, realizing that Krishna never left me for a moment since I started chanting his name. He was always there, protecting me in dangerous situations when I felt alone and overwhelmed by my problems. When I began, listen to this, Kazakhstan is a majority Muslim country, so she's talking about a time when she was, before she went to Mayapur, when she was preaching in Kazakhstan. When I began preaching to Muslims in my country, their religious leaders threatened to behead me. Allah, what, ISIS, right? Threatened to behead me and pursued me relentlessly. Eventually, they left me alone, and I thought I had managed to hide from them, but it turns out that Jagannath protected me from their attacks. Several times, I faced the possibility of imprisonment for preaching in scientific circles, and I was dying of fear, thinking that Krishna had abandoned me and that it was the end for me. But in the end, they left me as well. And as I later learned, all the officials involved in my case were dismissed from their positions. And this was also the protection of Lord Jagannath. One night, a maniac attacked me somewhere in Kazakhstan. But suddenly, a massive woman emerged from the darkness and chased him away with loud cries. It was also Krishna's protection. Another time, this is what Krishna is showing her in the near-death experience. Another time, when I was facing imprisonment again, I cried in fear all night. Lord Jagannath appeared in my dream and showed me that everything would be fine. And it turned out to be true. Reflecting on my entire life unfolding before me, I understood that Lord Krishna never abandons his devotees, no matter the circumstances we face due to our past sins. Even when we feel utterly alone, helpless and defenseless, Krishna always stands by our side, protecting us in ways unseen. Moreover, Krishna revealed the most important aspect of my life while the movie of my existence was playing. He showed me that the most significant moments, listen to this, were the kirtans in which I participated. It was astonishing because I saw in every detail every kirtan in which I chanted throughout my life, even those with only 3 or 4 devotees. He didn't show me what I considered important material events, but rather what was important to him and to me as a soul. The joint chanting of the holy names, congregational with others. During each kirtan, streams of radiant energy in gold, blue, and pink hues rose from the chanting devotees and reached the heavens, filling the entire universe. It was strange how even small kirtans performed by a small group of devotees possessed such incredible power. The holy name is boundlessly potent, and our attempts to chant it are so dear to Krishna. Observing my life from this alternate reality, that's Krishna's special mercy, left me in complete awe and bliss. Then it all ended. Boom. All right, that's the near-death experience. I returned to my body like a Jamil. Return to my body to, like a Jamil, receive another chance, a chance to approach the holy name of the Lord differently. Perhaps by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees, all my anarthas and material consciousness will be purified by the power of the holy name of Krishna, and I will learn to chant it sincerely and purely. Now I would like to express my gratitude to my spiritual teacher, Shivaram Swami, for his numerous instructions and lectures on the holy name, to Janmashtami Prabhu. I think many of us know him. Yeah, who's, oh?
Big John Courage.
Yeah.
This is not a job.
Yeah, right, in the Samadhi. To Janmashtami Prabhu, for inspiring me daily to chant attentively and sincerely, and to Jivanath Prabhu, that's Pavitra's former husband. And the devotees of Harinam, they have the Harinam party.
See, that one's there. Right.
Oh, you know her?
I don't know her, but I know
You
she
think
is.
it- okay. For the daily opportunity to participate in Sankirtan. To the spiritual teachers in ISKCON who glorify the holy name and narrate Krishna Katha. And most importantly, to Srila Prabhupada, who bestowed the greatest mercy upon the fallen souls. Hare Krishna, Ananda Vrindavani Devi Dasi. So, that is, I mean, a wake-up call. Yes, so I got one more thing here, I think. Yes, well, I just say, as Ananda Vrindavani finally realized it was Krishna all along who was inviting her to go deeper in her relationship with him through chanting Hare Krishna. So Narada Muni was inviting King Barhishat and all of us to go deep and intimate with Krishna. And there's one more thing that struck me in the purport. Because Prabhupada does mention that that actually one should take to devotional service from the beginning of life, as Prahlad Maharaj advised. So, who has everybody seen the movie so far? Almost everybody. You haven't seen it yet. Okay. All right. Well, there's one scene, you might remember the scene in the movie when Prahlad is in the womb of Kayadu, and he's there, and he's hearing Narada's instructions even in the womb. So and the same Narada Muni who is instructing Barhishat, he was instructing Prahlad in the womb. And what did he hear? And what was the most important thing he heard in the womb? Om Namo. And all those scenes where they were trying to kill Prahlad, and they very dramatically portrayed in the movie, that's what he was remembering. Yeah. And we can remember that if we do go beyond or if I go beyond my superficial spirituality and chant Hare Krishna and mean it. And on that note, it's 8:45. Does anybody have any questions or comments, reflections, near-death experiences, perhaps? Prabhu.
That story, when I first read that, it influenced me very seriously. And I've actually made significant changes in the way I perform japa and things from that story. That was a very powerful story. And I remember I reflect on it regularly because it's really inspiring, because I think about the kirtans and how Krishna loves the kirtans. And it also makes me realize, like, we don't take a kirtan for granted, like, a Mangal Artik or a Guru Puja kirtan. That's such a great opportunity to please Krishna. And so it's easy to sometimes being attentive in japa, but then we're not even attentive in kirtan. So then kirtan also means becoming attentive. And so I've taken that seriously, that when I'm in a kirtan, I try to really chant and really mean it. And also I feel inspired by she's worshiping Lord Jagannath. I worship my Govardhan Shila every day, and gives me some faith that, that even though I'm so imperfect of a devotee, that maybe I'll get some mercy from the deities, we serve here, Govardhan, that at the time of death. So it's a very inspiring story, and I've been looking for it. So please share it with me again, so I can share it with others.
Can you text me to remind me to do that? Yes, and Rika.
Thank you for a really nice class. It just kind of resonated with, what I'm going through right now, because, I have a mother cat and a baby cat, and the baby cat left her body while I went to Rath Yatra. So, while I was going to see, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, this was going on. And obviously the baby cat was obviously pining for her mother, because the mother and baby cat have been inseparable for 8 years.
They were together when she passed away, or no?
Well, they were one doorway apart, so she was probably they were both at the doorway, calling each other. So basically then, obviously the baby one did leave her body. And so now what I'm experiencing is her mother cat is, grieving right now, losing her daughter. So it's like having that experience of a mother losing a child is sort of like kind of what I'm feeling through the mother cat, because I'm the owner of the cat, sort of. So, yesterday evening, I went to pick out, because there's a whole bunch of weeds where we buried the baby one a couple of days ago. And so I was pulling the weeds out and kind of making that area nice, because I wanted to wait for the sun to go down. So, and then the mother cat just literally came and laid right there. And I said to the mother cat, Dastani, I said, okay, let's chant for your daughter, So I started, chanting the Maha Mantra quite a few times, and then Dastani was just laying there like being part of it. And it just kind of resonated a bit with that story, that how much the Maha Mantra is important. And she was thinking of her mother, and if her mother continues to hear the holy name, that may give her some.
Yeah. So the baby cat wasn't sick; it just was dying of grief, separation.
It got caught in the shed, very abruptly in the shed, and in the heat, and no food, no water.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a tragic.
Well, and so you made a little plot for the baby?
Yeah.
And the cat knew that?
Yeah.
Oh, the holy name can make everything auspicious.
Well, some nice devotees, Kirtaneshwar and Nitai Narendra came and dug the hole and did the nice prayers and everything.
You had a kirtan? You had a kirtan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only solace in Kali Yuga. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Yeah,
There's some really heavy stuff coming up. Some of the heavier verses of the Bhagavatam coming up.
well, you wait till when Dero does the verse tomorrow. It's so heavy. In one verse.
The verse after that is also really heavy.
Yeah, the unpacking, right.
It's like,
Also wait till next week, because tomorrow we're going to do, it's the last class before Janmashtami.
Yes.
We're going to do a pre-Janmashtami.
Yeah. Oh, so you're not going to do you're going to do Janmashtami Katha tomorrow. Okay. All right. So we'll have a transcendental cliffhanger. And that'll be next to Tuesday. Who's going to do that? Is that you?
you're Miriam.
Okay. I guess that's all. Anyone else? Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, you know, he actually helps a lot of the ways.